Good afternoon and welcome to our Saturday Sports Special. It's another weekend and, well, what can I say? It's a busy weekend of activities, and preparations for a busy month as well of sporting activities, especially in Grenada. What we'll be doing is this weekend we'll be getting an idea of what's happening in terms of our secondary school sports in Grenada. We know preparations already started for football, basketball, netball, many sporting activities taking place in Grenada. We also know that there's ongoing the Re-Consultation on the national policy on sports and physical activity, and so many things happening. So we'll try to get as much as possible in today's program. Today, we also will have Mr. Anthony Benjamin of the Ministry of Sports. Mr. Benjamin is a basketball coach, and, we'll hear about basketball, and I'm certain that Mr. Benjamin is involved in so many other things that we'll hear about. But we want to hear what's happening in the secondary school, especially with basketball now picking up in Grenada once again, and in terms of the school's structure. Yeah, that is happening as well. So Benjamin will be speaking to us. My usual co-host, Mr. Rudy and Sylvan, is in Toronto, and he will join me as well. But in the meantime, let me say good afternoon to Mr. Benjamin. Good afternoon to you, Mr. Benjamin.
Good afternoon, Mr. Bascom, and thank you for having me on your program.
Right, it's nice having you. And as indicated, we get ready for secondary schools sports in earnest. And we know around this time of the year, we have the basketball, we have the football, we have the netball, and then the cross country. Lots happening in terms of secondary school sports preparation that will go into the new year. That will culminate more or less with track and field. But at this time of the year, all eyes will be on basketball and all the other sports, I should say. Mr. Benjamin, before I start off with you, many people recall that years gone by, when it comes to basketball in particular at the secondary school, it was almost like intercol athletics with some of the schools. I recall the Wesley College, the GBSS, PBC, the schools, SAS, quite a few of them. Do you think, as an icebreaker, do you think we are getting close to those glory years, Mr. Benjamin?
Well, I would say that we are not getting close, but we are there. Because I can refer to our last secondary schools championship that we had that was ended in February of 2020, when we saw the crowd that was at the Carnage Sporting Complex to witness the finals of the male division between GBSS and PBC. That finals was best of 3, and we had to go all 3 games to determine a winner. And the crowd that we had there, the colors, like I said, it was in February. It was the first week of February. And we had patrons in the national colors. Michael, it was a great showing. It was excitement. We had people all on top of the lottery building, up on the steps. We had parents, we had schools, even schools who were not part of the finals came out to look at exciting basketball. So right now, I would say that secondary schools basketball, it's where it has been and it's where it should be.
Okay. Well, nice to hear that. Nice to know that. And I think in all earnest, in terms of preparations, once we get preparations going and things like that, so preparing the basketballers for competition, and television and NBA and all of that helping a lot in terms of spurring the interest. So let's talk about what stage we are at now in terms of preparations for the season, for the basketball season, Mr. Benjamin.
Well, right now we are in communication with our sponsor. We are very happy to say that Subway has been our sponsor for the past 3 to 4 years, and we are engaging them again because, as you know, with COVID, we were on a 2-year break. So we are very hopeful that Subway will recommit themselves to sponsoring the secondary schools basketball championship. So as I said, we are in communications with them, and we are just awaiting their response to our letter where we was asking for a date for us to meet to finalize plans. In that letter we would have sent to them, we would have been thanking them for their sponsorship and also letting them know that we continue to sponsor, and also our budget is in there. So we are really excited and looking forward to the resumption of secondary schools basketball championship. Let me say the Subway Secondary Schools Basketball Championship.
Right, good to know. And what's about the female basketballers? Are they in competition this year as well?
Of course, every year we have the secondary school championship. We have both male and female. As you would know, over the years, the female championship has been growing. I started in the ministry as basketball coach in 2004. And I remember in my first year, we had just about maybe 3 or 4 teams. And that has grown to 9, 10 teams over the years. So we are really happy to see that our females are getting on board with the excitement and with the enjoyment of secondary schools basketball.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, that's very good to know. But before I ask Rudian to come in there, is there any way that the scheduling, the organizing of the basketball tournament around this year affected in any way due to other conflict in terms of other sporting activities? Do you get the cooperation of most of the schools? Because I mean, so many things happening around this time of the year that sometimes I know for some sports they do take a hit, they do take a, as they say, they do take a beating, but in terms of basketball, no such problems. So.
Well, let me say that because we are coming out from the pandemic, all our secondary school tournaments, like you mentioned in your opening remarks, presently we have the cross country happening for track and field. Today they're up at SAS, and every Saturday up to the 4th of November, where we have the finals at Gulf Coast, they will be having this weekend cross countries. After the cross country, we usually go straight into the football. The football over the years in the past would have started right after school reopening in September, but because of the situation, things have been pushed back, and the football is expected to start this month in October. Also on the 20th of October, we have netball being started as a D's sports shop. Netball competition will be starting on the 20th. So things are a little later this year, and I am seeing also that the basketball may start a little later. We usually start like the 3rd Friday in November. That's around the 18th of November. So depending on the number of teams participating in both the football and netball, basketball may see about a week or so later start. But we are still planning for the 18th. We going ahead with plans, and depending on how the competitions for the football and netball plays out, then we will decide if we're going to keep the 18th or if we're going to go a little later. As you know, many of our sporting persons, male and female in the secondary school, they don't just play one sport. You will find some of our footballers playing basketball as well, playing like the female footballers will be playing netball and volleyball. So sometimes we usually have to wait to get some of these same athletes to participate in other sports. So the scheduling of those competitions usually have to stay within a very narrow window. And if we go later with one, you'll find it affecting the other. I know in the past, we had tried doing basketball in the second term. And as you know, second term is mainly track and field. And we have had tremendous setback because of the track and field, because all the schools will say to me, Mr. Benjamin, we cannot play our game today because we have cross country. We cannot play today because we have hits, you know. So we have seen it fit to start a little later in the first term, and this is the reason why we had started in November, because of that small window that we have. So we are looking to see how things will play out this year, and then we will be flexible enough to make things happen, because we know there are a number of schools, a number of teams who are already preparing for that basketball competition.
Well, more reasons why the scheduling is so important, you know, and to have so many hands on deck, whether it's the schools, the Ministry of Sports, Ministry of Sports, Ministry of Education, the Basketball Association, you know, so many, areas that you have to look at. So I could imagine the challenges you yourself as the person coordinating from within the Ministry of Sports will have in terms of that. Let me bring in my good friend from Toronto, Mr. Rudian Silvan. Rudian, certainly I know you were glad to know that at least basketball is taking its place, its rightful place. We know sometimes the focus always be on track and field, football to an extent, you know, and not so much on the basketball and netball and things, even though, as I said, a couple of years ago, basketball was a big hit in terms of secondary school sports in Grenada. Rudian?
Yes, how you doing? Good to see you, Mr. Anthony. It's a pleasure to see you. I do have some questions to ask, hoping that you can give me answers. And it's just because of the conversation we have. Sometimes it's good to ask certain questions. We'll start with basketball. What is your budget for basketball?
Presently, our budget is about 35,000. In our very initial sponsorship from Subway, we started with 20, and over the years, it has always grown, because Subway would have seen how beneficial their sponsorship was for basketball. Over the years, we have only been given like trophies and medals to the teams, but because of Subway's sponsorship, we were able to give MVP trophies. We were able to give Subway vouchers where you have top scorers or maybe best defender or something like that from the game, from each game. We'll go to Subway and we'll be getting something from there. So the sponsorship has grown. So presently it's about between $35,000.
Do you ever you only depend on Subway as sponsor, or is it an open sponsorship that whoever want to support? Is it how does it work?
Well, before Subway coming on board, it was the ministry who had been full sponsor, and since we had Subway on board, it has just been Subway alone. It is not something that is concretized to say that we cannot have additional sponsorship. I guess we'll just have to communicate with Subway if we see the need to increase it, and okay. Yes, and we'll just let them know that, hey, there is somebody else who wants to partner with us to increase the sponsorship to make things better for the basketball players or the teams, and I think it can happen.
And please forgive me if I ask those questions. I ask because I've been a part of the education school board. I was a teacher for 17 years. I'm still involved with the schools, mainly for track and field now. Before I used to be soccer and basketball. And I asked the question, and so when I asked those questions, I was asking just to relate in terms of my meetings that I have out here at the same time. So please do please do forgive me.
No, it's okay.
Yeah. Now, how do every sporting body in school, meaning basketball, soccer, netball, do they have separate meetings?
Yes, we do. Let me say that when we meet as a ministry, because we usually work with the academic calendar, because most of our competitions or responsibilities at the ministry is mainly with the schools. So at the initial meeting, we will meet as a ministry and plan together. But when it comes for the tournament, we usually plan separately.
And do your scheduling goes based on how many schools are involved in that particular sport, or you just have a schedule and work with that schedule?
We schedule based on the number of participating teams for each year.
Okay. And you mentioned that it was a late start this year. What is the cause of that?
Well, the lateness was we came from a 2-year break because of COVID. Initially, we had a meeting with the PE teachers and other representatives from the schools to get a take from them as to their readiness for sports, because during the pandemic, we didn't have any of our sporting activities happening because we were trying to stay away from crowds and stuff like that. So because we come back from this break, what we had, some of the schools were saying that they're not sure if they are in a ready position for tournament because they have not been doing any of the sporting activities on a school to school basis. So because we told them that we want to come back to a sense of normalcy with the competitions and so on, then they're saying, no, we as a school, we are going to go look for athletes to see if we can put a team together and stuff like that. So this is the reason for the lateness.
And does the schools, do the ministry have a mandatory, or a better word, that certain schools must take part in specific sporting activity?
No, it's not mandatory. It's left up to the schools. Yeah.
Oh, it's up to the school. Well, yeah.
But you normally get the cooperation from the schools, right?
Oh yes.
Right.
Especially for basketball. I know there are times when we would meet and we will speak about the competition that went previously, and people usually give good report about the kind of cooperation, the kind of camaraderie we have among the persons at the schools who represent the school for basketball. So it's been good. It's been healthy.
Mm-hmm. I asked that question because, like I said, out here there's a certain period when you have to declare what sport you're going to be taking part in, all the schools. So that's why, and sometimes it's in the summertime. You just never know who is even going to come in. You kind of declare that, yes, we are going to take part in so much sports, even not even knowing who is at the school. So I asked that question because of that.
Right.
Yeah.
I have 2 other issues, but I mean, it's good to know that the schools have that interest, and basketball is one of the sports among the secondary schools in Grenada where sometimes what you call the unknowns have their field day, because, for example, Wesley College was a dominant school in basketball back then. You won't hear that probably in track and field for Wesley College. Westmoreland Secondary School also, in and between. And when it comes to the female, other schools, So basketball is one of the sports where, as you will say, the unknowns do have their field days. And Mr. Benjamin, I'm certain you're aware of that, okay?
Oh, yes, we are. As you rightly said, Wesley College, when it comes to basketball, not only in the male division, but also in the females, this is a school we can depend on to have representation from year to year in both divisions. Let me also hasten here to add the Grenada Christian Academy. Some people may not even know about the Grenada Christian Academy, but they have been one of the top teams in the recent past. They've won the competition, I think was 2 consecutive years. And basketball has really brought out schools like Boca Secondary. They have been represented there both in male and female division. We've even had them reaching the semifinals and so on. So some of the smaller schools with a smaller population have really shined because of the basketball competition.
Okay. The other thing has to, well, it's a two-part. One has to do with facilities, the availability of facilities. And I know last program we had a lot of talk about facilities and indoor facilities and, all these sort of things where it's something like that, basketball will be able to fit in there. And the other one has to do with the involvement of schools from the Sister Isles, Carriacou and PD Martinique.
Yeah. As you know, with the onset of climate change, we're having so much more rain in Grenada these days. Let me just say that I usually do a community Saturday morning developmental program for basketball. And the past couple of Saturdays is just rain, Every time the athletes message me, Coach, would we be training today? I have to say, sorry, it's raining now. The court is wet. We cannot do anything. So we really would, a good indoor facility will really enhance the basketball, not only basketball, but volleyball and other indoor sports. So we really would be grateful if we can have a facility where that we don't have to worry about the weather, where we can go there and play and train and help to develop our athletes.
Mm-hmm. As it relates to the Sister Isles?
Yes. Let me say, for the summer, it was my first time being up at Carriacou to conduct a summer program up there for basketball. The numbers were good. We also had some of the females coming out, and Mr. Steele from Carriacou, he was pleased with the running of the program, and we are looking forward to, in the near future, to invite Carriacou to be a part of the program. We know that basketball is just kind of picking up. We have one young man up there who is assisting the sports division up there with the training of basketball players. But it is not yet at the stage where we can say that Carriacou can have decent representation. So we are hoping that this partnership with the mainland and Carriacou with basketball can continue. We are hoping that very soon, maybe I or somebody else can go back there and have a developmental session with coaches so that we can have more persons besides that just one young man out there trying to do everything on his own. Work with some coaches and have them work with the young people and have a team or a couple of teams participating from Carriacou in the secondary schools competition.
Yeah, well, that's really good. Let me say good afternoon to our good friend Edwin Sam in New Jersey. Always glad to know that you're locked in, even though there is college football. Well, the American football going on. I know he's always going. Says good afternoon, Mr. B. Good afternoon, Rudian. And also I want to say good afternoon to well, that's my auntie over in Trinidad. She says good evening. Then nephew watching from Trinidad. Good. And he's saying Michigan State. So that's a big game on today.
Tell him, sorry, my bug guys is coming for them. And they need to win by 30.
All right. Anthony, it all boils down now to not so much informing the schools, because the schools are already informed. Yes. Once you get everything organized, and as we say, if you can just give a little credit where credit is due, the Subway Secondary Schools basketball tournament?
Yes, it is. That's correct.
Right. And the schedule, well, as it is proposed schedule, is for the 18th, right?
18th of November, yes.
18th of November. How long you expect that basketball season to run for?
Well, usually we run it from November. We will take a break when the schools goes on break for Christmas. Oh, okay. And then we will resume in January. And by the first week of February, we have our finals. So it usually take about 4 to 6 weeks.
Oh, okay. Well, that's
the format that we usually use. We have a Eastern and a Western zone for the male division, and you have the top 2 teams from each zone going into semifinals, and then the winners from the semifinals will play a best of 3 finals, and the 2 losers will play a 1 game for 3rd place. The females, depending on the number of teams that we have, we either let them play round robin and then we get the winner from there, or if we have sufficient, like 8 or more teams, we'll let them do round robin in the zones and then go to the semifinals just like the boys do.
Now, would the finals be East and West, or would it just be any of the 4 teams?
No, the finals will be any of the 4 teams that make it to the semis, right? The top 2 from the East, the top 2 from the West. So number 1 from the East will play 2 from the West, number 1 from the West, vice versa.
Okay, right. Yeah.
And we let the finals play on a home and away basis. And if there is a need for a third game, then we'll let them go to a neutral venue.
Okay. All of that though is weather permitting, right?
Weather permitting, of course. Of course.
Yeah. So that it drives home the point we have been making that basketball and the indoor sports, basketball, volleyball, netball, they really need a home. They need
of course, we really do. We really do. Yeah. I have seen from my travel with the Windward Island Games that St. Lucia has a nice little decent covered facility. It's not a full-time indoor where you have wooden floor. It's a concrete, but it's covered, And we've also seen in the recent past that Dominica has also developed a sheltered facility. So we can do the same in Grenada. We have library, but it's not adequate enough with the sitting facility. Sometimes when it rains heavily, we have water coming in under the tiles, and so we need something better and we need something bigger to enhance our sports.
Well, I'm glad I'm hearing it from you as well. And I think once people like you and others continue to talk about it, and that's why we are saying, Rudy, and the basketball, the netball, the volleyball, these associations need to be speaking in one voice, because it's really important if we have to move our competitors from one stage to the next. I'm certain that people like Mr. Benjamin and them would like to see probably other schools, and when I say schools, it can be high schools, secondary schools, or it can even be college teams come in and engage in our basketball players. But of course, they would not want to be at the Tantine court or the Carnage court or whatever it is. They will need some sort of proper facility. I'm certain that is the thinking Mr. Benjamin has as well.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Let me just share a recent experience. When we talk about the FIBA competition, the FIBA competition usually plays on indoor, and in order for you to be able to host or to be able to participate, because usually when you play home and away. So if we for example go to Jamaica to play Jamaica in their indoor facility, Jamaica's supposed to come to us to play in our indoor facility, and because we do not have one, then that takes us out of our chances of being a part of that. So it is really important for us to have a proper facility.
Yeah. I mean, in the past little while, past 2 weeks, Michael and I have been speaking about that quite a lot. How can you get the schools to have some sort of interest to reach out to the ministry about the importance of an indoor facility, if it's by a letter, because others are doing it, but how can we get the schools to also push for that? In that way, more people or more organization is pushing for the indoor facility is faster. We might see one put in. Is there any way that can happen?
Well, let me first say that the ministry, the government, they know and they understand the need for an indoor facility. Only on Thursday we had, as Michael spoke about, the Re-Consultation going around to the different parishes, speaking about the sports policy. We at St. John's, we had the first one here on Thursday, and most of the persons there, they were voicing their opinion about an indoor facility. So the ministry is constantly bombarded with that message that there is a need for an indoor facility. So getting the schools, getting associations, whosoever, to add to that call for an indoor facility will be greatly appreciated.
But not only for that, I'm very impressed with you and the rest of the St. John's community for what they have done with what they have. And I really would like to see this, and I'm saying it, I'm from St. Patrick's, but I would really like to see the St. John's facility and even be developed better than it is right now because of what they are doing. As long as there's a community that is helping the young ones, then I would like to see facility, restructure better for them. And I would really like to see that. I think St. John's been having the same thing for the past few years. And I think it's time for them to have an upgrade. And I really would like to see that happen.
Oh, definitely so. Just last week as well, when the Ministry of Finance was doing their budget consultation, I remember Coach Naka Joseph, who is the lead for the St. John's basketball lead. He was speaking to them about the drawing that he has had, kind of low cost, where we can have a covered facility. Yes. Because we are the St. John's Sports Council. We have been doing things, as you said. We just finished running a developmental training program during the summer. And from that, we had the participants divided and we did a mini tournament for them. We got uniforms and everything and give them prizes, medals and everything. And everybody left there. We had ages from 8 to 18 years. So we had a wide cross section of ages and everybody was really happy to see that happening. And we're really looking forward to having something where we can do more. We can do more.
Yeah. And that's one of the things I really like about the St. John's, and they're constantly doing and developing, right? So that's why I really like to see places who are doing, help them out, work with them. And you guys have been structured, you guys have been on the ball, you guys are doing things the proper way, you guys are, always coming together. And that's why success always comes to St. John's, because of what you're doing. It is time now for the ministry to see that and start implementing some funding to develop, your facilities, and so that things can run better and be better. Because, I believe that in the near future we could have basketball players coming from Grenada and playing in the NBA or in the Division I NCAA. And I'm talking about coming from Grenada, not born Grenadian parents who live in the United States. I'm talking about those who are coming from Grenada. And it's going to be very hard to play on a concrete ground and then go in and play in an indoor facility over there. We need to learn. We have to give them the tools for what they want. If the all over Canada and the United States is indoor facility, so our athletes have to be able to train on the same thing. So when they come, they're good with it. We have to give them the tools so that when they go out there, it's not confusing for them, because then again, the shoes are different. When you play on concrete, your shoes are going to destroy faster than playing on the wooden floor. So we have the place to do it. We have the people who is willing to put a hand in to help, and it's time for the government to come in and say, yes, let's put it together. Let us get it. If we had to start with one is better than nothing. We start with one, we build from there, because we have the places to do it. We have the places to do it. And even though we don't have the indoor, like you said, the wooden floors, but let's get some covers. In that way, we can get the netball player, we can get the basketball player, even the volleyball, get those things going. Volleyball is tricky because Canada don't want to do volleyball on concrete. Nobody want to do that, right?
Yeah, well, the thing is that, and just piggybacking on something there, we already basically we have a template when it comes to organizing, because we have the St. John's Sports Council that have been operating for many years, decades, right? So we already have what we call a template, so that in terms of others can just mirror it. And my concept is that we should be using the St. John's experience. Yes, some may have to,
tweak it a little bit.
Yeah. But of course, St. John's may be in a position to say, here's what we have done over the years to actually remain the St. John Sports Council. As Anthony was saying, they just completed something. So they're still organizing and doing things, even without a structured sort of support and things like that. So, but I'm saying that we have something there and we can continue with that. But just to wrap up on you, Mr. Benjamin, just to give us a final thing on the organizing of the basketball tournament, just for those who may have just joined us, to where we are at now, and even if it's to give us the time frame we're looking at for the commencement of this year's tournament.
Well, before I speak on the commencement of the tournament, I just want to add to what the brother was saying when he speak about the concrete taking away your shoes. Let me also remind him that the concrete also take away your joints, because many of our players who hit that concrete on a regular basis, their joints go in no time at all. Let me say that I am proud to say that although we haven't had that proper facility, presently we have about 6 of our born Grenadian players who have played in Grenada, who have gone through the secondary schools basketball championship, who have attained scholarship, went out there, and presently we have 6 of them playing professional basketball out there. We can speak about persons as Hakim Robertson, Hakim Simon, Daniel Regis Pencil from Granans. So we have had a certain level of success, although we haven't had that proper facility. And most of there are others before them who went out there. They didn't play professionally or made it to the NBA, but they were able to get their degrees from school. They did pretty well. And some of them, like Austin Thomas, they're now giving back, because that same summer program that I spoke about, Austin was able to give funding for the training aspect of it, and then the council sponsored the competition part of it. So we are really proud that this is happening for basketball. And as you said, finally, I just want to remind everyone that come November 18th, the Subway Secondary Schools Basketball Championship will be resuming, and we are looking forward to the participation of the teams. We are looking forward to the continued excitement that we have at secondary schools basketball in both the male and female divisions. So we're looking for the schools and the teams, the parents and the basketball enthusiasts to come out there and to continue supporting basketball. Again, I want to say thank you to Subway for the continued partnership with the Ministry of Sports. Thank you to the Ministry of Sports and to everyone who makes the secondary school basketball competition that exciting competition that it is.
Thank you very much, Mr. Benjamin. I want to say thank you as well. I thought I'll have to report back to your superiors that you did a wonderful job. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. All right. I
appreciate it. Okay then.
Thank all right. Okay. Bye.
Yeah.
It's a pleasure.
Right.
Yeah.
So Mr. Anthony Benjamin, representing the Ministry of Sports and Basketball. Folks, we still have another one when I say another, because we spoke about basketball, we also want to talk about football, and specifically because the next person we do have is the football coach of the McDonald College. And why the McDonald College? Because I looked at a promo that the Ministry of Sports and there was, there's kids already bragging, there's trash talking already going on. Secondary school football is back on the bang. And in it, some of the kids already start talking, well, we are the defending champions, McDonald College. So I said, something, let me get McDonald College on. So I contacted the principal, Carl Andal. He says, Kwan Batiste is the man. And here is Kwan this afternoon with us. By the way, Kwan is remote. Kwan is basically, let me tell you, Kwan is on his way to, organizing to leave Shantimel to go St. George's, got an exhibition game at Tantine. Oh, yeah, it's the Kellen Batiste memorial game. Yeah, that's something I need to speak about. But let me invite Mr. Kwan Batiste, who is actually remote I'll be driving, and Kwan will be saying, Kwan, good afternoon to you.
Afternoon.
Right, good afternoon. And I hope you're not too
hope the signal is
distracted.
good.
Yes. So let's talk about McDonald College and preparations for the defense of the secondary schools football, and should I say titles, both male and female?
No, only male.
Only the male. Okay, so let's talk about the preparations.
We are defending for, I think this year will be the 5th year.
Oh, the 5th. Wow. Well, not so much of good news for me as GBSS. I know 2 of you, McDonald College. Rudian is smiling from ear to ear.
Of course it is.
Yeah. So how it's like in terms of getting the guys ready for the secondary school and for defense of the secondary school football title?
Well, the preparation right now, it's tough, right? It's tough, and mainly so because of the weather. But the weather has been terrible up here for the past couple of weeks, right? For the past 2 weeks. So in terms of training, it's pushing us back, way back. There's a lot of water in the park, The guys would come out to train, but the water basically would prevent us, from doing what we want to do. So you only get in probably 2 days a week, or 3 for the most if we get. Right, 3 for the most if we get. So basically the weather is the main thing that is holding us back. I know the preparation time is short or shorter, than regular time. So it's hard, but we're working with that. I mean, the guys are all new. All right. So the transition it's much farther apart, because we didn't have the competition for a couple of years. So all the guys who are playing here now, I think except one, has never played senior football as well.
Wow.
So a lot of work has to be done.
But how it is, how you get to identify, well, I mean, yes, they come into the school and things like that. So, but is it easy for you to, start identifying the talent? Because as you say, the window is a short window in terms of preparation, all of that. I mean, so do you identify them from the primary school or so? I mean, tell me the process.
Yes, from the primary school, but more so for the past while, not from the primary school, because nothing has been going on from the primary school, but in the locals, right? That's where I identify them, because I go all about the year football. I still play, so I see a lot of games, right? So from there, right, we pick out guys from that.
Wow. So I mean, and you go all over with the football. Do you think that this year's tournament may be a very challenging? I mean, bearing in mind all that you talked about in terms of the preparations, all of that, it'll be a challenging time for McDonald College.
Yes, well, every year is challenging. Every year, and we're up for the challenge. Every year is challenging, but we are there and ready to go. We will be ready. We'll be ready. I know it's tough. Like it always is. This year is just shorter, and like I said, the transition is much further. But we will be ready. I can assure you, we will be ready to go.
What other preparations are you making to have the ladies, the girls, involved as well? I know the focus is on the boys.
Yeah, well, the focus is not really on the boys alone. We focus on girls as well. Okay, yes, and great. The girls are in training as well. So both the male team, the junior and senior, right, and the girls are in training as well.
Okay, and it's both. You're looking at both junior and senior in terms of the boys as well, too.
Both
right?
Junior and senior in terms of the boys, yes, both junior and senior. Wow. And there's a huge turnout, especially for the juniors. There's a huge turnout. So that right there for itself is challenging, but. We have to get it. We have to get it right, and I can assure you, we will get it
right. A lot of smiling there from Quan as well, too. And I know, but when you have all these guys, showing the interest and probably want to be training and thing. Is it easy or difficult for you and your staff, your coaching staff, to come up with the right team for the tournament?
it's very difficult, very difficult, especially this year. It's very difficult, especially for the junior team. It's very difficult. So that's why we need a lot of time. But seeing that we have an idea, of the players beforehand, the new ones coming in, right? These are the most challenging, right? To decide who are we keeping, who are we keeping in, who we leaving out. But it's very challenging, very challenging.
All right, Rudian.
Hey, yes, Quan, it's good to see you, man. And it's always good when we're talking about McDonald College, because I know
definitely.
what it's like. I've been there. I played there. I've played basketball and soccer and definitely track. So I know. And my Friday house is always my Friday house. I never let it go. Fridays is always my house. But the challenging thing that I've seen for the past years, Manu, I literally live in my college grounds. I live right there. Do you think it's time for an artificial field in Grenada?
Yes, an artificial field is trust me, is always welcome. And especially at a time like now, right?
Yeah.
In the rainy season where the rain is going to come heavy, right? And you can't do anything. Sometimes there's not much mud, but the water, right, that settles. You can't do anything. The ball can't roll, so you have to postpone training and all that. So it basically sets you back, and especially when you have a short space of time to prepare. So the artificial field, trust me, even if it's it's one, would help. Would help a lot.
Yeah, most definitely, because most of them, when they build it, it comes with drainage, so the water there is no settling. And I only say that because, like you said, the weather is changing now. We've seen hurricanes coming heavier now, and whenever there's a hurricane anywhere, we are getting water like crazy in Grenada.
Yep.
But something we can start looking at, and maybe start looking into it as putting that in McDonald College grounds. We have the facility, we can expand, but I'm just saying that it will help you guys prepared, and it can not only work for soccer, it can work for other sporting event too.
Yeah, definitely.
And Quan, as it relates to your preparation and all the challenges you're facing, what's about the footballers who may be also involved in other sports? Like we were speaking to Mr. Benjamin a while ago in terms of basketball and things, and all these things happening around the same time,
Yeah, well, as of now, when the basketball is going on in our school, as well as athletics, right? The better basketballers are the footballers as well, So it's very challenging. But what we do, most of the time, seeing that we have the football coming on first, we normally let them come to the football training, or we might give them a day. But like this year, there is no day, so they would have to come to the football training, every time until we get it going. And after the competition start, they might get a day in, a day out to join the basketball. But the football is first, so we go in first, for the football. Like I said, we are defending. We are defending, so we have to stick there. We have to be up there.
Listen, really, if any other footballers listening to Quan, they might be saying, "Boy, Mr. Batiste dread me, boy." They might be saying he dread, because it's a football.
And I understand where he's coming from, because you are defending, and it's different from just going in. You are defending, and you want to be able to continue that trend of defending, or at least having a really good team going in. And so I do understand that, but it is challenging when you have so many sport happening in the same, and then
waiting for parry.
It's not designed where athletes get to choose one or the other. It's not designed where they get to play one sport in a season or two sports in the same season. It's not designed that way. So your best athletes.
But in addition to that, we have where in a previous program we had where one of the coaches, father/coach, was basically speaking about the SBAs, those with the academics, and all of
Academics.
that. So
Yeah.
you have so many challenges now because you have, in Mr. Kwan's case, he has basketballers who are also the better footballers, and they may also be, in the academics as well. So, I mean, how the balance and all of that, I don't know, Mr. Kwan
Yes,
might be able
and
to.
also the academics, because sometimes on evenings, some of the players, they definitely have to attend class, right? They definitely have to attend class. So that in itself too does be, a hold back for us when it comes to that, because they have to attend class. Sometimes they have to do it. So we can't prevent them, because it's academics as well. So most of the time it's a hold back for us, but we have to do it, So these right there, that part right there must be challenging. That part right there is really challenging as well.
Have you guys ever thought of having a morning practice as well as an evening practice?
We only have evening practice right now. Right. Normally we try to incorporate Saturday mornings. Right. Normally we try to do that, but we only have evening practice right now because the time, we don't want to take, as the administrator say, take away the contact time for students, to prevent them from the classes. So we don't have morning practices now, just evening.
Yeah. Well, I want to thank you very much, Mr. Batiste, for joining us. And certainly we will be following the exploits of McDonald College, and we probably have you back at some time again to speak a little more, about that. But thank you very much for joining us, and all the best and safe driving down to the city.
All right. Thank you, man. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, man.
Right,
thanks for coming on.
All right.
Yeah, okay.
Later.
Thank you. Right. So that's Kwan Batiste representing the McDonald College. Right?
And Michael, and as we said, we listen to Mr. Anthony and now listen to Kwan. The weather is very challenging. It is. It is. And then we're looking at two things: an indoor facility will help, and an artificial field will help. Not that the proposal is out there for artificial field, but those two things will help in the area, right? In terms of getting these athletes and them getting ready for their various sports, right? But it is very challenging when you live in where we're at. But it's time for us to move out from where we used to be and move with the times of upgrading.
Yeah, I agree with that. Just to let you know what Kwan was actually speaking about that he's heading down to is the Kellen Batiste, the 4th annual Kellen Batiste Memorial Football game that's be played between Kellen Batiste President's 11 versus ex-nationals. And that is being played at the Roy St. John playing field in Tantine. It starts at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And that's today. So that is what he's actually going to. And you remember Kellen Batiste, a former national goalkeeper, played for Grenada for probably over 2 decades, and unfortunately lost his battle to cancer a few years ago. But there is what you call the Kellen Batiste Foundation Incorporated, and because of COVID, there was no. For about 2 years,
2 years,
but they are back now, and it's all a means of keeping the memory of Kellen Batiste alive. So if you're in the area and there's any opportunity where you can, jump in, please do, please do, because it's for a worthy
cause.
And certainly, Kellen has played his part. And by the way, it's something that we're hoping that, as they mentioned with the Re-Consultation, that folks, if you're in any area where there is the Re-Consultation taking place on sports, please try to participate. Try to participate. Have your, as they say, let your voices be heard. Okay, it's important, and things like that. So, one of the other things I want to tell you before you start logging off is that we do have a surprise for you come next Saturday. Please be on time. Please be on time. Be on your best behavior, because you know, roll call will be very early, because on the program comes next Saturday, will be welcoming the Prime Minister of Grenada, Carriacou, and Petite Martinique, Deacon Mitchell. He'll be our guest live for the full hour. So the Prime Minister will join us, and certainly you're very much welcome to be part of it, because we want to hear from the leadership point. We had the minister, about a month or two ago. This time we'll hear from the Prime Minister. And as we say, we'll be pushing for lots of the low-hanging fruits. We'll try to get as much as possible. We will try to give the Prime Minister enough time to speak. So even as host, we will try to be as brief as possible. Questions will be, very brief, so that we can get as much in as possible. Okay, as much question as possible. The long talk will be for the Prime Minister. Comments, whatever it is, will be brief, to the point, and to give him enough time to, we trying to get as much as possible from him. We can say as much as possible during the consultation and things like that. So the opportunity is yours to join us next Saturday. And it's also a good time, at least as Edwin is saying, to wish the Prime Minister a happy birthday. In fact, today is his birthday. In fact, today he should be on the program. But because of his birthday, we thought it was best to give him his time. Yes, his time. So he has agreed to be on the program next Saturday, God's willing. It's his 45th birthday, and it's all well and good for Prime Minister to enjoy his birthday. It would have been a nice surprise to have him on his birthday, but that's fine. He will be on our program come next Saturday. So this is an invitation for you for next Saturday to have your questions. And again, we will try to be as brief as possible so that we can get as many in and have sort of one-on-one with the Prime Minister, and to hear what it is, from his position, that, and some of commitment in terms of what it is they can report and being achieved since the sports minister joined us about a month or so ago. What it is has happened in sports by here and now. What it is, the vision in terms of sports tourism, sports marketing, all these sort of things we want to hear from him. So it's your invitation to join us next Saturday with the Prime Minister of Grenada, Mr. Deacon Mitchell. Okay. Is there any other thing we're missing on, Rudian? No, except
everything was good.
Yeah.
Like I said,
also to let you know that in terms of the Re-Consultation, on October 29th, it's the turn of the diaspora. We will have our virtual reconsultation on sports. The time looking as more as less, I think 3 o'clock in the afternoon. But it will be confirmed. But this, they're going around the country,
different parishes,
different parishes, and including Carriacou will have theirs as well. The diaspora is scheduled for the 29th of October. That's Saturday, the 29th of October. So remember that. We have a date as well.
And I'm truly happy that they are doing something in like that. Involve everyone. We just really hope that those who are always talking get the opportunity to come out. A lot of times people say a lot, but when it's time for them to come forth and say something, you don't see them. Come on out, people. Go on out to your different parishes and speak your mind. They are coming to us now, and it's time for us to let them know how we feel, what we think, what we would like to see. And that's not speak on the behind or speak on the block about something and nothing ever get done. So and get a better understanding of some things, right? So it really would help.
Yeah. Well, just to let Edwin know, Edwin is asking, will you be soliciting questions from the audience and only you answer questions? No. I have questions. I'm sure others will have, but questions from the audience. So that's why I'll be trying to limit the time that people speak.
And if possible, Michael, and if possible, some people could send some questions to you before. That can be helpful because some people question will be double, right? So that
not
can be
only
helpful.
that, the Prime Minister will be speaking, and if there's anything that you want to ask, you can throw it up, and the question will be there. He'll be able to see the questions, he'll be able to read the questions, and we can read it as well. So once he's on the portal, any questions that come up, he will be able to see it and
to see. Okay,
and answer it. So yes, Rudy, Edwin, questions are welcome, and you're free to ask questions to the Prime Minister, just as we will have guests and you can ask questions. We can put it up and you'll be able to answer it. So that's the opportunity you will have. I think it's a big opportunity for us in terms of the program, having the Prime Minister and having him in a live forum to discuss sports. Okay. And I
really do hope, and I really hope he being on help others to come on.
Well, listen, one of the things I always say, people always ask me, let me just tell you that, Rudy, and for those, they always ask me about having this person on the program, having that person on the program. Listen, there are people I've asked to be on the program, and these are some of the varied answers I would have gotten. I'm not interested. I'm not ready yet. I will let you know. I will think about it, all these sort of things. Listen, and to be honest with you, it doesn't really bother me. We're just here to discuss sports. And even if we have to just talk about sports every Saturday, just about ourselves, I don't mind, right? There are those who have expressed an interest and say, listen, I want to talk about such and such, but I'll let you know when I'll be available. I have no problem with that. I say, hey, no problem. It's about sports. Just let me know when you're available. They said, okay, no problem. In fact, the president of the St. Kitts and Nevis Olympic Committee, who is the president or the chairman of the OECS National Olympic Committee, he has reached out to me in email as well as a phone call to say, hey, Mike, well, I know him, and he said, listen, I know you have spoken to the Keith Joseph and the Brad Lewis and others. Is there a possibility for me to speak to you anytime? I say, hey, no problem. And we were scheduled for a particular time, but then he had a medical emergency. And since then, every week, he has been reaching out to me to let me, hey, Mike, I'm not forgetting. I will let you know. It's just that I'm not back home as yet. I'm still, the medical what and things like that. And I'm just saying that to say how it is at times, okay? I don't really, and there are those who will, on the sideline, they tell you all sorts of things, and I'll say, are you in a position to come and talk about it? And I don't hear from them, but they're on the sideline joking. One of the person I always would like to thank is Ray Roberts. Anytime I ask Ray to be on the program, Ray is always willing to come. And that's the thing about it I like, when someone is committed about sports. I mean, Ray took me under, his wings when I started in sports back in 87, 88, these sort of things like that. So I'm always grateful to Ray when it comes to sports. And in return, whenever I ever ask Ray, I say, Ray, such and such and such. Ray say, hey, probably such and such time because I have to go on the beach. I'll be on the beach, or I'm on the beach heading home. This sort of thing. So I mean, there are people who So once again, the invitation is for you to join us come next Saturday at 2 o'clock. By the way, just to let you know that the program starts at 2 o'clock, and I can give you reasons why. 2 o'clock Eastern time. I'm now in Austin, Texas. There is a time difference. And because of my assignments, I have to get to the hotel at a certain time, to basically start the program, because it's 1 hour behind, And so that's why if I leave it at the 1 p.m. starting time, I'll be still stuck. I'll be still on duty. I'll be still on assignment, So that's why I actually shifted for the 2 o'clock. And by the way, it was a time that even the Prime Minister had agreed on in terms of the scheduling. So everything just fitted nicely.
They
were like, can it be just a little hour later? Instead of 1 to 2, can it be 2 to 3? I say, well, that is what I'm actually looking at, 2 to 3, So it fitted nicely. So for the month of October, we will leave it at the 2 p.m. start. I know it may interfere a bit with Edwin and his college games and things like that. So, but that's fine, I'd say. On a Saturday, it's college football from start to end. You can watch college football until midnight.
From Friday.
From Friday, I should say. From Friday. From Friday. And then from midday, you go.
And I'm not watching it right now. So once I'm done with you, my phone is on. Yeah. And then until I get back to the house.
Yeah. Well, I'm
listening.
I know as soon as I finish and I get something to eat, But thanks for once again, Ruden. Always a pleasure. Look forward to you being.
No, definitely. I'm looking forward to next week. And I think it's going to be a very good program. We're looking for a good turnout. To listen to what the boss have to say. And we go from there, and you guys are free to ask your questions based on the conversation or based on what he's talking about. Let us do that. In the end, it's about us. It's about Grenadian, and it is the greatest thing to have the leader come aboard that weekend. Ask questions or at least listen to him. On this platform, so which is good. You have this is a milestone for you. This is a milestone.
Yeah,
this is a milestone.
Well, without saying much, I met the Prime Minister when he was in New York on his way out.
Yeah.
So knowing him before he got into politics, surprisingly, it's the same
person.
Same person. Easygoing, and let me tell you something, very knowledgeable. I spent about 15 to 20 minutes speaking to the Prime Minister. And by the way, speaking on sports. And I was taken aback with the things that the Prime Minister was telling me in terms of his knowledge of sports. And I'm saying, someone who really knows about sports. So he may not be directly involved in sports, but he is fully aware of what's going on and what we are saying on our program sometimes. So somehow the Prime Minister is monitoring.
He's on.
There was something we spoke about, and he did mention. He said, "Oh, he was talking about the Sean Lambert issue, and thing." And I was like, hey, so somehow either the Prime Minister was looking on live, or somehow we get on to see something Sean was saying. And we were conversing, and I was surprised, that he's very knowledgeable about so many things, and things like that. Good afternoon to you, Theo. Always a pleasure having you around, and nice hearing from you. Edwin, Sam, all the others, thank you very much. I want to say thanks also to Anthony Benjamin and also to Quan Batiste. Carl Andel, principal of McDonald College, thank you for making that link up. I thought the guys were very good. Both of them, both Anthony Benjamin, who represented the Ministry of Sports very well, and Quan Batiste, McDonald College. Will it be another year for McDonald College? Time alone will tell. Time alone will tell. Thank you very much, Rudian. Thank you very much.
We will talk during the week and and stay in touch. All right, have a good one, and thanks for everyone who comes out. Thanks again.
Thank you very much. All right then.
All right.
So that's Rudy and Sylvan joining us live from Toronto in Canada. Thank you very much, folks. It's a pleasure being with you once again, and I'm looking forward to your company come next Next Saturday, as I indicated, our special guest will be the Prime Minister of Grenada, Deacon Mitchell. Join us at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. It's a live 1 hour program with the Prime Minister from 2 to 3. Knowing the Prime Minister, he may just give us a bonus. But keep that date and time locked down in your calendar. 2 o'clock Eastern Time, Saturday. That's next Saturday, the 15th. Live discussion on sports with the Prime Minister of Grenada. Thank you very much, one and all. Thank you for being with me, and I look forward to your company come next Saturday, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Not the usual 1 o'clock. It's 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Until then, I want you to continue having a pleasant weekend. Bye for now.